What's going on? I am back. I technically have just now started the show, but I started the countdown before 10 or before 10 o'clock. And so I just want to give myself credit here, a little congratulatory pat on the back. I came to class early, Professor. I came to class early. I want to get some credit for that because I am usually late, as you guys know. But it's so good to have a countdown because that helps me to kind of organize some things. I'm still running around the room, doing all these little backstage things right now. There's a verse of scripture that I want to share with you guys this morning, and I'm interested to see what it says in 92. Oh, wow. Cool. That's interesting. It's the NIV versus the ESV, and the terminology and language is a bit different. Psalm 116, verse 1, I love the Lord, for he heard my voice. He has heard my cry for mercy, because he turned his ear to me, and I will call to him as long as I live. Psalm 116, verses 1 and 2 from the Word. Good morning. Welcome to the Erskin Music Show. I'm glad you guys could join. And for those of you who got to class early with me and who were commenting on my countdown, yes, Erskin Music has a countdown. That was actually developed from some of my friends overseas. For those of you who have me to actually come and be a part of your experience, that's a countdown that I'll sometimes use before the actual show starts and in live settings and live events. And so that just kind of helps me kind of orient, pray, get myself ready, get my heart ready, and then bam, we come with the Erskin Music Show. And so it is a Thursday edition of the Erskin Music Show. Welcome to you 7 folks that are on live now watching. Welcome to you guys, as well as the Facebook Live audience that is out there who is receiving this either live or residual, and also the YouTube Live audience that's out there either receiving this live or visual or residual, as I should say. Good morning to you guys. As you know, the Thursday edition of the show is my thoughts and comments about cultural commentary that's out there, and it's an exciting lineup today. We're going to talk about cell phones. We're going to talk about the year 2020, and we're going to talk about social media fasting. And so if that's topics that you guys are interested in, hang on. We'll be there in just a second. But I wanted to say what's up to a couple of people that are out there. TJ from Temple. T-Hi says hello. What's going on, Rock and Ron? I see you out there. I see all the people out there. The countdown is no longer valid because we are here. All right. What is going on here? Ding. What? All right. So it looks like I lost the control room for just a second there. Let me see if, and I think I know why this happens. If this is the case, and what has happened is what I think has happened, then I will not do that ever again. And we'll see. We'll see. We'll just see. It may say, hey, Rock and Ron the entire time today. It may not let me back into my own show. Oh, it did let me back into my own show. That's good. All right. Because that would have been pretty awkward to not be invited to your own show today. What's up, T Gaston, T Nice up there in Chicago. Sarah, good morning, you guys. Man, I feel the love. I feel the love this morning. So let me get started with a couple of things. Yesterday, I went on a broadcast. Yesterday was a busy day for me. I did my show early in the morning. As you guys know, it was me and Brent Taylor. Brent Taylor kind of did his thing. Very just unique brother that's out there in Florida. He's representing the Lord. Actually, he's from Canada. Mom was Mennonite. Dad was Black Pentecostal. And that was just a unique story that he told us yesterday. So check out Brent Taylor Ministry. That was yesterday. And then after that show, I did Street Talk, John Reisner's ministry. And we talked about rioting and some of the things related to rioting and what's going on in the human heart in James chapter 4 when we see rioting and people who want their way and they're vying for a cause and they want but they cannot have and they do not have because they do not ask God. And so that's just a good time yesterday with those brothers. We had Dan Bedouin on from California that was on that show yesterday. And then we popped over and we had a quick lunch meeting, some of the church elders. And then we popped back over here, grabbed our guitar, and then went down to Franklin, where we were at the Cool Springs house. I was announcing yesterday on the show that I was at the Brentwood house. It was actually the Cool Springs house where they used to house slaves. And it was where Sam Houston kind of grew up in the area, interacted a little bit with Andrew Jackson. He was a protege of Andrew Jackson. And so, man, just a lot of history, man, just seeing some of the slave gallows and just different things that were out there. That was very eye-opening. So we shot some stuff for Project Connect out there. And then we came back and had dinner with some folks that are activists and working on behalf of people who are in prison. And I may talk a little bit about that at some other point. And so it was a busy day yesterday, but a very encouraging day to see the truth is marching on. So yes, God's people are out there. They're doing their thing. Don't let yourself get swept away with all the media that's out there. There's a lot of bad things that are happening right now. You see rioting, you see looting, you see people tearing up Confederate statues, and then it's just pretty much anarchists who are tearing up everything out there. Man, but don't get deceived about that. Don't get it twisted. I'm here to tell you on the Erskin Music Show. Big Head, what do we want to tell them? Big Head, Ruby, and Scooby want to tell you that the truth is marching on, that God is on the throne. Don't be discouraged by what it is that you guys are seeing in the news, because God is good. God is on the move. He's moving in people's hearts. He's moving in people's lives. And if we Christians who are out there doing what it is that we can do and what we should do, we know what our mission is, the Great Commission, Matthew 28:18-20. If we're out there doing what it is that we can do and we should do, man, we should be very encouraged these days. When the times are the darkest, that's when the light that we shine can shine the brightest. And I know that's been said before, and that's a cliche, but man, it's just so important for us to just continue to maintain that loving attitude, that loving posture, to reach out to people that are around us. I know there's a lot of people that are hurting. There's a lot of people that are confused. There's a lot of people who are discouraged, but we who are Christians, we are representing the Lord in everything that we do. So good morning to you guys. Good morning. Good morning. So I want to just go ahead and quickly say this. I want to give a shout out to Lakeside Baptist Church. Lakeside Baptist Church down there in Granbury, Texas. You guys have been a tremendous ministry, and you continue to reach out to the people that are in need. And I have been overseas with you guys to Africa and have served you guys both here in the United States. And so we're praying for you guys. I like to wear these shirts from various ministries that I'm a part of. Let you guys know that we're praying for you guys, and actually just thinking about you guys today. So I wanted to put the shirt on today and rep Granbury. So if you guys have shirts that you want me to show, or shirts that you want me to put on, just go ahead and send that merch. You can contact me, and we get a sending address there, and I'll give you a shout out. But as I said before, tomorrow I've got a concert live stream event. You guys won't want to miss that at 7:30. We'll be streaming on a number of different platforms, and so you guys will want to come and check that out. It's going to be a different experience than anything I've done before, and I think you guys will thoroughly enjoy that. 7:30 Central Standard Time, 8:30, I guess that would be Eastern Standard Time for those of you that are over on that side of the world. So that's coming up tomorrow. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday will be the same general format of the show. We have a guest on Wednesday that's coming, but that's the last of the Erskin Music Show. It's so sad. Where's my sound effect here? It's so sad. We got to change. We got to transition from the yearly show to the summer show. The summer show is going to be more of a weekly show. We may have some guests on and do some different things, but then we're going to also have the camp edition shows, which is going to be kind of a daily blast. It's not going to be very long at all, but it's just going to be a little bit of camp experience for those who don't get a chance to do camp this summer. We're going to bring that to you as best we can. So that is the format that is coming up. We're about to transition into the summertime mode. It has been exciting to be the Erskin Music Show, but I want to give my apologies to the good folks of North Carolina really quickly here. I need to do this before we continue on. I know, sad. But I was sad yesterday when I had that broadcast that I did with Travis Laughlin, who is the pastor of Concord Baptist Church, the good people of Bostic, North Carolina, over near Forest City, Shelby, North Carolina, in that area. Good folks, good people. I'm going to go ahead and apologize from my heart to yours yesterday. I was frazzled, as I said yesterday. I was doing the show, doing a lot of different things yesterday, and I did not have time to properly prepare for that show. And so for anybody that's out there in Shelby or Forest City or Bostic, North Carolina, and you were witness to that show yesterday, I just want to go ahead and apologize for my edge up. It was way off. Like, I had a little Batman thing that was going on there, and I didn't realize how bad I was looking until I looked into the screen when the live stream came up, and I was like, oh, bro, if anybody sees this, man, this is an embarrassment. To look. Big Head's edge up is looking good. See, Big Head representing. Yesterday, I was not representing with an edge up like that. It was looking rough yesterday. Woo! Man, I'm sorry about that. So if you had to endure watching that broadcast yesterday with Travis Laughlin and I talking about racial reconciliation and some of the hot button issues that are going on today, and you just could not concentrate on that show because you were looking at my edge up and how bad it looked, just want to let you know, we put a video out there of me getting my edge up right and getting it better today. And so I just want to apologize for that. See, it's better today, isn't it? It's way better. All right. So anyway, let's get to some actual topics. Let's get to some actual topics that are out there in the news. Let's talk about the year 2020. Bum, ba-da-dum. Surprise. I bet you didn't see this one coming. Hey, hang on a second. Hang on a second. We got to bring in the year the right way. Hey, kids, can you bring my party stuff in here? Sorry. I had to go get some party stuff because we're going to talk about the year 2020. 2020. I remember the year 2019. I was there. Many of you were there as well. And at the edge of 2019, talking about countdowns, we had a lot of different things. Remember the countdown for 2020? Here, Justin, you want to say hello to everybody in the world?
Hi, everybody in the world.
Okay, there you go. 2020 came in. Talk about messing my edge up. This is going to totally mess my edge up. This may be making my edge up. I don't know. You guys tell. No, I don't need. Well, blow one of those little party things. Today we're going to party like it's 2020. Once again, we're going to do. There we go. Where's the noise making things? We're having a celebration here on the Erskin Music Show. All right. Anyway, I'll keep this one since I already blew on it. You guys can have party with all the rest of that. So 2020 came in this year, and there's a lot of people who were optimistic about what the prospects of 2020 were. I heard about the Kansas City prophets that were out there. Now I'm going to press gas, and I'm going to actually go. If you've hung with me this long, then you're probably not going to get off. But I was hanging with this whole prophecy thing. Kansas City, the year 2020 is going to be the year when the Lord actually begins to manifest himself in profound ways. The Kansas City prophets came out after the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and they were saying, this is the year, the Lord's coming back, all these different things. And so 2020 was going to be a pivotal year. I know a lot of ministries were going to engage in high gear. They were going to start some things out. And 2020 was going to be the year of seeing clearly and seeing all the different things that God wants us to see and bringing the church to a new level, to new heights, bringing cultural awareness of God and his glory to new levels and new heights. And then, oh yeah, I got a sound effect for this one. I got a sound effect for this one. Where you at, sound effect? Maybe I don't have a sound effect. Oh, here's a sound effect. That's what happened in 2020. When COVID began to break out originally and initially over in Japan and China and various areas of like that in the world, we were maybe suspecting that was just going to be an isolated event. And then we began to watch it spread across the globe. And then we got familiar with this idea of a global pandemic and what exactly that was going to mean for the United States of America. And we began to find out that that was going to mean that we were going to be in our homes and that we were not going to be in our churches and that we were not going to be going to our regular activities and sometimes not even going to our places of work. And we recognized that 2020 was not going to be the year of things as normal, things as usual, things as they used to be, because God was doing a new thing. And so we were literally in our homes for 3, 4. Some people are still in their homes on quarantine. Different parts of the country are opening up at different rates. And what did we learn? What did we see during that time? What has happened to the Church of Jesus Christ in America? In some ways, it's been good because churches have had to figure out new ways to reach audiences and had to invest in technology that's going to help them to broadcast the message of the gospel to a greater extent and to greater numbers of people in each given situation. But in some ways, we haven't fared very well. The church in some ways has continued to be discouraged. Oh yeah, I would tell Justin people said hello. Discouraged by the fact that we seem to not have the cultural traction that we need to be able to address the issues of our day. And I would just pray for the people that are out there, especially pastors, knowing that their job is extremely tough to figure out when do we meet, how do we meet, what do we do. And so there's this just sense of tension. There's no two situations are the same. That's why I believe in autonomous churches. Obviously, as a Baptist, you guys would say, oh, yeah, that's what Baptists believe. But I believe that that's a biblical notion, a biblical concept, that there's not a presbytery or an elder board or some type of group or diocese that comes from the outside and says, this is what all of our churches are going to do. No, we've had to figure these things out as a church in each particular situation, each particular city, each particular state that we find ourselves in. And that has been a challenge for this year. And if that wasn't bad enough, that's my own sound effect. Then we started to have videos that began to surface. And this is going to get to my second topic here. But we began to come into this time where there was a greater heightened sense of tension and awareness related to race-related issues. Now, you guys know that I don't like to use the term race. I'll use it because it's common parlance in our culture. The ethnic wars, I guess that would be a better way that I could say that. And so we've looked at this year, and like it says there at the bottom of the screen, surprise, you didn't see this. I don't know anybody that's coming out and saying, you see, I predicted COVID for this year. You see, I predicted that we would be at a heightened state of tension in this world and in this year. In fact, this has been a tumultuous year. Maybe not the most tumultuous year in the history of America. If you read American history, we have had some doozies. I don't know that this necessarily ranks up there with the top of those, but it's climbing up there. We are not done with the year yet. We've got an election coming up this year, and so it's gonna be crazy. What's my crazy sound effect? Anyway, we need somebody to do the sound effects. How am I doing all this? So it's gonna be crazy this year, and it's gonna continue to be crazy. And like some of the people who were saying, who was Deborah Johnson? Get this up here. God's plan cannot be thwarted. That's what we need to hear. I was going to make that point, but you already said it for me. All right, Deborah Johnson and Brother Billy, it's your show now. Just take this thing over. Can I just quickly stop really quickly and just say a quick story? Because there's all these things that are going on in ethnic wars. Let me put these kind people up here before. If you're with the Erskin Music Show, you know that I'm like a squirrel. I'm going to chase this thing, but this is a good chase. There's all of these things that are related to the ethnic situation that is found in the church. And I remember as a 12-year-old boy, I was a member at Magnolia Baptist Church in Belton, Texas, 507 South Pearl Street. I went to church there, all black congregation, and all I knew from my earliest church experiences was, give me that old time religion, give me that old time religion. And so like black gospel, the whole thing, that was my church experience growing up. It was just right in my soul, man. I just, even singing that, man, it just makes me excited. But at the same time, as a young boy, I began to have a passion and a love for Jesus Christ. And so there was a church across town. We had to go across the tracks. You know where I'm going with this. Across town that met in the evenings. And I never heard of such a thing. Of course, the black church services go from like 9 o'clock in the morning until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But I actually found myself as a young boy, 12 years old, saying, man, I just cannot get enough of Jesus. Is there anywhere else? Like, I wish we could have the whole thing over again. I wish we could go from 4 o'clock until 10 o'clock at night. I just wanted Jesus. That's all I wanted. And that was my perspective in life. I was so amazed and so in love with Jesus. And so, a lady by the name of Flora Stower said there is a church service that meets in the evening at about 6 o'clock. It's across town. She didn't tell me it was an all-white church. She says a church called Miller Heights. Church, man, let's do it. So Flora Stowers, I remember, takes me into this congregation, and they're greeting us at the door. And I'm like, okay, yeah, man, there's some white people who go to church here. Oh, that's great, man. And I'm looking at the congregation. I'm like, wait a minute, they're all white who go to church here. And so many of you will hear me tell this joke from time to time. There was a time period in my life in which I literally, because my whole church experience was dominated by just blackness. Like, I was amazed that God had saved so many white people. Like, this building was full and they were all white people and they were all claiming to be Christians. And so like, God saved white people. That was awesome. I was so excited about this. It was so encouraging to me. And so I remember going in there, and like I was talking about, our songs played on the organ. They didn't really have a meter. It was just kind of the momentum of the moment, and some of the songs changed tempo, they changed keys and all those different things. And I remember going to Miller Heights, and I remember going to the first service, and we picked up the hymnal, and I was like, oh, this is a hymnal. I'm familiar with this. We started singing a song. I don't know if it was Just As I Am or what the song was, but they were actually following the lines, because I read music at that point. I was in band. I was like, they are actually following the musical notes that are on this page. And it sounded kind of similar to the songs that I'd sung before, but it was completely different, a completely different way that church began to show me that people worship the Lord. And Brother Billy, Miss Deborah, get Brother Billy up here. Let him know that I'm talking about him. Let him hear this. Brother Billy was the pastor of the church. If I had known then what I know now about pastors who pastor churches who have black people that start coming to our churches, I'm sure he must have got some people who made comments to him about, there's some black people who started coming to our church here in the evenings. We won't get into that because I've heard that from pastor after pastor after pastor after pastor when people start trying to integrate churches and services and things like that. But that was not Brother Billy. Brother Billy took an interest in me as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, and Brother Billy brought me into the fold. Brother Billy started letting me play my trombone for his church on Sunday evenings. Brother Billy started letting me preach. And I just want to apologize to the people who heard those sermons. They were terrible. In fact, I need Alistair Begg to help me out here. Alistair! Alistair! Where you at, Alistair? I need this. Man. You're an idiot. That's pretty much what those sermons were like. Those were horrible sermons. But Brother Billy let me stand up in front of an all-white congregation and preach sermons. Brother Billy used to take me out we used to go to Luby's, if you guys remember that. We'd go to Luby's. And he spent time discipling me. And so for those of you who believe that racial reconciliation is not possible, I'm going to tell you a different story because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen white pastors who begin to invest in young black men because they see God at work in their lives and make that investment in their lives to the glory of King Jesus. And so, Miss Deborah, could you tell Brother Billy we love him and we're thankful for him and we're way more integrated now because of his love for us. And so anyway, that's Brother Billy. Let me get back to my 2020 topic. It's there at the bottom of the screen, but nobody saw this coming. My only point that I want to make here before I go to the cell phone comments is that now that we've seen where we're at, let's not be surprised and let's not be caught off guard as though God didn't have this in mind and that he didn't know what was going on. Amen. Let's be very aware of the fact that God is on the throne and that he has intentionally moved the church and moved his people in this direction. He's shaking the foundations. He's breaking away some old things and putting in place some new things. And I really do believe that you're about to begin to see a generation of leadership. This is, in my estimation, the passing of the torch. This is the passing of the mantle year. There's been a lot of leaders that have gone home to be with the Lord over the last year or so, last few years, as Billy Graham obviously has gone home to be with the Lord. R.C. Sproul has gone home to be with the Lord. Ravi Zacharias recently has gone home to be with the Lord. And I heard that recently Tim Keller was diagnosed with cancer, and we do pray for him and pray for his ministry. But a lot of the guys who were stalwarts, who were a little bit older in their faith, are going home to be with the Lord. I think the Lord is calling them home because he's going to say this next generation that needs to stand up. The guys that are in their 30s and 40s like myself, we need to stand up and we need to be counted and we need to make sure that we're representing the Lord. He's given us a voice. He's given us a passion. And it's time for us to serve Jesus and not ask, of our leaders and other people who have been there before, to go to all these conferences and go to all these great lengths and learn all this technology and do all these different things. Sometimes they're doing the things that they can do, that they should do. They've served well. And they're about to receive that reward, the pat on the back, say, well done, my good and faithful servant. And they have been faithful servants. It's now time for a next generation to step up and be faithful servants. All right, let's get to the cell phone. I'm calling this the cell phone revolution. Do you realize that with the cell phone, everybody now has a camera and everybody can video everything? And so just think about this year, 2020, as I was talking about it. We had a cell phone video that came out recently of Ahmaud Arbery. And that shook the nation. And there was all this discussion and that heightened the level of tension. And then there was a cell phone video that came out in response to Amy Cooper and some of the things that were shown there. And then there's subsequent other smaller cell phone videos that began to get traction and get national attention. And then obviously with the cell phone video and recordings of what happened to George Floyd, America was finally rocked and shaken to its core. I also think that this has been aided by the movies that have come. Harriet, that movie recently came out. That's why we named our dog Harriet. The movie about Harriet Tubman, the Underground Railroad, was exquisite and a well done movie and well worth your watch. But also the movie Just Mercy came out that shows how systemic injustice has related to the incarceration, mass incarceration, and prison reform. And these movies and the way that we've been seeing through screens, the things that are happening in our society and happening in our world has heightened the intensity that we have. Everyone has a camera. I do my topics in 4 words. Everyone has a camera. And so therefore, everyone is present when these evil things are happening. Now, I want to be the first person to say that there's been evil things that have been happening all along. And yet we've not had cameras and we've not had the ability to visually represent the things that people see. There's been black people who have been talking about injustice and police brutality for years. I mean, you go back 20 years or so, back to the 90s, over 20 years, back to the 90s, and the Rodney King beating. That was caught on camera, and those police officers were exonerated. And that began to spark race riots around our country. And so just think back various years. I've, in the early 90s, seeing Tupac on camera talking about some of the police brutality that he experienced, and subsequent other people who experienced police brutality. And I don't want to make this about police brutality and the misdeeds of police. If we were to pull out our cameras about the misdeeds of criminals that are out there, I think they have already done that. They've done shows where there's criminals who get themselves caught on camera doing stupid things and idiotic things. But it's the cell phone revolution, as I would like to call it, because everyone has a cell phone and everyone is videoing everything these days. And so accountability is at a heightened degree. And perhaps this is showing us that we weren't as well put together as we thought we were as a country. Perhaps this is showing some inconsistencies in some of our police forces around the country. Now, I'm not at all going to be a type of person who says that all the police are bad. That's a false narrative, and then we reject that completely. I know many wonderful police officers. I've talked to many Metro Police Department's finest officers and servicemen here in Nashville, and so that's obviously not the case. But there are a few folks out there who have unfortunately been caught on camera. Well, you're not going to have 100% of people who are doing 100% of things right. If we were to put the camera on even pastors and ministry leaders, they're not always doing the things that we would like to see them doing. And so, man, it's a tough era when you begin to see the cell phone revolution beginning to take place. But here's where we're at as a nation. Here's where we're at as a world. And it's important for us to think through this, recognizing that many of these technologies are bringing about the advent and maybe the eventual coming sooner than later of the mark of the beast and the Antichrist and one world government and all the things that you read about in the book of Revelation. That's coming or is maybe already here, depending on what your perspective on that is. But it's important to note that the reason why these things come with such intensity and they come with such frequency is because there's a really high end potential for the good of a cell phone as it can be used. It can be used as an agent of cultural change. It can be used as an agent where we can have this time together that we share. It can be used as an agent of protection. And I talked to a couple of people about that a few weeks ago when I was saying that I always take my cell phone with me. I'm not, well, I won't talk about my protective measures, but I do travel sometimes a lot alone. And I do travel and drive through various parts of the country that have historically had some problems with, various things. And so as a tool of protection, I do carry my cell phone with me, ready to video, if necessary, things that are going on around me for my own protection. So that if anything is said, hey, Erskin didn't do this or Erskin did this, then the video and the camera can either exonerate me or at least give me a way of buying time so that I can escape. And that's just the reality of the world that we live in. During the time when COVID and the quarantines and lockdowns were in place, knowing that teenagers, as much as we don't like for them to be on their cell phones, those cell phones and those cameras are a means of protecting young kids who have those technologies from sexual predators and people in their own home who might harm them, and being able to alert certain authorities out there if there's misconduct that's going on there. And so as much as we look at this technology and we think, man, it's just ruining our society and it's heightening our sense of awareness and tension to all these issues, there's also some very big upsides to it. And we get a chance to do the Erskin Music Show each day because of it. So everyone has a camera. My encouragement to you, and here's where the reason why I wanted to bring this topic up, is use that cell phone to encourage and to bless and challenge and motivate other people that are around you to the glory of King Jesus. All right, let me get some comments coming up here just a second. Yes, Harriet was a great movie. John Gilks, what are you laughing at over there? Oh boy. How about we have some Erskin music before I do my last topic? I want to deal with social media fasting. But since this is the Erskin music show, why don't we have some Erskin music? It seems like a great idea. Seems like a logical connection. A logical thing that we should do. Ooh, this song is called Only Love. We need to hear that message again, loud and clear in these days.
Darkness, yeah, we need a light with all of the hurting. There's no room to fight. Only love is the answer to driving out hate, and love's gonna work when we give it away. Only love is the answer to driving out hate, and love's gonna work when we give it away. These hands are for serving. Our love needs to move. Let's reach to each other. Oh, there's no time to lose. Only love is the answer to driving out hate, and love's gonna work when we give it away. Only love is the answer to driving out hate, and love's gonna work when we give it away. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Oh, let it shine. Come on. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Oh, let it shine. Love is the answer to driving out hate, and love's gonna work when we give it away. Only love is the answer to driving out hate, and love's gonna work when we give it away. Only love. Only
I couldn't help myself. Man, this is give me a little party horn here. I think we should all get party horns, and then we should all blow them and just have a good day. We need to have a good day. We need a good day in America. We need to designate a national blow your party horn day, and try to not be mad at anybody else day in America. We were talking the other day. My daughter and I were going out. We have Monday Fun Day, Monday Sunday, so we alternate, take son and daughter out, and we'll have lunch with them or we'll have dinner with them, just one-on-one. So I'll take my son one week and my daughter, and I was talking to my daughter about being the president of the United States, and she asked me if I was the president of the United States, what and I said, well, if you were the president of the United States, what would you do? She said, I'd outlaw abortion. And I was like, man, my answer was weak. I'm gonna vote for you as the president of the United States. So yeah, I'd like to have those kind of conversations with our kids just to get them thinking about, leaders actually do matter. They actually make a difference in the tone of our leaders and the vision of our leaders. and that vision as they're able to pass that on to other people actually really does matter. And so when I become president, as I said, when I become president, I'm going to have a national everybody blow your party horn day and try to not be mad at each other day in America. That's a long title. So if you guys can help me refine that, National Blow Your Party Horn and Not Be Mad at Other People in America Day is going to be enacted during my presidency. Speaking of presidents, one lady who may become president, who has not come on this show yet, but hopefully at some point she will, my good friend Candace Owens. My video has now almost 7,000 views, and I got a message from one of my buddies last night who said that he had just gotten a personal message back from Candace Owens, and so he had made sure to tag my video so that Candace Owens can see my video. I love Candace Owens, and a lot of people believe that at some point she may run for president of the United States. I think she has some good policies. She can go on a rant from time to time, but so can Erskin music, truth be told. So yeah, just hope everything is going well for Candace this week, and that she's not frustrated about anything, even though there's a lot to be frustrated with. I hope she does well this week. And so I in no way want to insinuate that I'm against Candace Owens, because a lot of what she says, America, we just need to hear this. We just need to hear what she is saying. I just thought that she was a little out of bounds in some of the comments that she made the other day. All right, so let's get to this social media fasting thing. Get this up on the ticker. Social media fast. I've heard a lot of people who have talked about it. In fact, I believe, who was it? Eric Mason, Pastor Eric Mason, who wrote the book Woke Church. He had taken a social media fast because there's just a lot of things that were going on. I know Ed Stetzer has recently taken a social media fast. There's others who are our leaders who are out there who are just getting off of social media and saying, hey, we just need to just dial it back. We just need to tone everything down. There's a lot of stuff that's out there. There's a lot of mean tweets that are out there, and a lot of mean words. I hate you all so much. Yeah, there's a lot of that that's out there these days. And so I want to just make sure that as people are taking a media fast, that's, I think, a good thing. When the Erskin Music Show changes formats and we go out west, go to a weekly format, I'm going to have a lot more time to do some of the things that I'm encouraging other people to do. And these cultural shifts that need to take place, the cultural engagement that needs to take place for us to get Jesus to the world is not going to take place because we're on our keyboards all day being keyboard warriors. I'm going to convince them through this, fine sounding argument on social media about things they need to do to change their ways and to change their world and to change their actions and change the things that they're doing. We're not going to be able to do that through our keyboards. We're going to need to actually get out there in public, in the world, grind, as we like to say. We're going to have to go grind and get up in the communities and get in the neighborhoods and begin serving people, begin loving people, begin connecting with people, knowing our neighbors, having great conversations with our neighbors, being in a situation where we are offering to serve people and to help people and cross-culturally communicating and connecting that bridge and being involved in people's lives and coming to going to the boys club, going to play hoops, up at the gym, at the YMCA, whenever they open it back up, the YMCA, mentoring people. See, that's where the grind takes place. Social media fasting, great. If you need to do that, then the Lord has probably told you need to do that. I wouldn't be on social media all the time. I have enjoyed being here during this time, but there's going to be some more time that I have where I'm at camps, where I'm at different places in the community where I'm going to serve. And so I'm not going to take the time off to do nothing, but all of the changes that we know need to take place, we need to go and make those changes. We need to be present in people's lives in order to be able to make those changes. So if you're going to get off social media, good, fine, that's great, wonderful. Now go make friends. I don't think it was fair, if I can use that word, if I can use the F word today. I don't like to use the F word, but I don't think it was appropriate for a lot of the folks in Black Lives Matter and some of the other groups that were out there to be chastising people because of their friend list and saying, you're not culturally aware, or you're not woke, or you're not part of the movement, or you're not part of change if your friend list is all one of the same. If you don't have enough Black people in your, Facebook accounts, then shame on you. And I think that sort of virtue signaling in that regard and public social media intimidation was completely inappropriate. I know there's some people that experienced that. And just simply to say this, man, I don't believe that shaming people into anything is actually going to work. But I do believe that at times we can sit back and we can begin to evaluate. I even do it on my own. social media just to see the kind of people that are friending me. Like I said last week when I had posted a response to Candace Owens, and yes, this show loves Candace Owens. You can come on this show, Candace. We'll talk about that foul video that you did, but then we'll talk about the 95% of other things awesome that you do. Candace Owen, come on the show. We've only got 3 days left. But just simply to say that when we are in a situation where we are media all the time, we can sometimes get lost in the trail of that. And it's good for us to be able to come back and evaluate some things with a clean slate, a clean break. I had about 40 people who sent a friend list to me, and I'm just kind of evaluating and always just kind of figure out, do I know these people? Okay, there's a lot of people who are friending me now who I don't personally know, which kind of goes against some of my social media ethics. I don't have anything bad to say about social media because everybody that's on my friend list, all 4,700 or so, those folks, I actually have met them before or interacted with them in some way. And if they're international, obviously we don't interact all the time. But I feel like for at least about 4,000 plus of the friends that I have on my friend list, like we actually know one another. You could come up to me and we could have a conversation and pick up where we left off. I don't know their names a lot of times. I'm not saying that I have a memory like that, but it is good at times to kind of filter through our list and make sure that our conversations are productive. If you're getting grief all the time from unknown people, like there was somebody that wanted to clap back at me last week about a couple of things that I had said, and I welcome the discussion, and I tell people as long as the discussion is moving forward and we can be creative and constructive in the conversation, that's fine. I don't mind dialoguing with you because I'll put my opinions out there and you put your opinions out there. Let's talk about those things. But it's sometimes good, and this kind of gets people sometimes not to interact with me in some of those battles. I just want to know what context you're coming from. And I'll ask people that. It's like, hey, are you like a white supremacist? And like your context is like, we don't like you because of, and that's your context, so that I know it. Okay, that's the context that they're responding from. And so therefore, these are the things that they might end up saying. Or are you a person that is a member of a local church and you've heard some things and you're concerned about that? See, that's a completely different conversation. I'm willing to engage some of those conversations. Are you a friend that perhaps I grew up with and somebody that I haven't talked to? One of my biggest social media battles, and I don't know why people felt the need to jump in on this, was when gay marriage was passed, and I made comments about the fact that all those love wins banners that were up there, since you've adulterated what love actually is, love could not have won because it's not the love of Jesus Christ and it's not a love that Jesus would condone. Now, I made those comments and I'll make those comments today. Where's my sound effect?
I apologize for nothing.
Because I believe God knows best about what a family is and God knows best what is advantageous for human flourishing. But that's not the point. One of my biggest social media battles was when I made those comments, because there were a lot of people who I had grown up with who don't hold that position and who did not appreciate me coming out boldly and making those comments about what a family is by virtue of the definition of a Bible and what is advantageous for human flourishing with regards to sexuality. I make those comments again today. But here's the point. Those people who were teeing me up and they just went after me viciously.
I apologize for nothing.
Those people who were making those comments are people that I grew up with. They're people who I know had been a part of my life and know have been a part of my life in some very dark times in my life, and before my life changed and before I became a Christian and before my life was changed. Those were friends of mine then. They're friends of mine now, so much as they want to even talk to me. But I just mentioned all that just simply to say that the context of who it is that's making the comments really does matter to me. I've received some comments over the last couple of days related to the fact that some of this comes across in their estimation of Black people being lazy, and they don't like people whining all the time, and it seems like Black people are whining. Now, that could be extremely inflammatory and incendiary comments made because I am Black and I see some merit to what is being said with regards to some of the social injustices that have taken place. But it wasn't. I didn't take that in one way, shape, form, or fashion as being incendiary at all. And it's not because I don't understand that that could be incendiary. It's because of who made those comments and the fact that they were honestly working through some things. I've heard some things that are related to the idea that all of this bashing of police officers was just the height of just frustration for people who have law enforcement family members who serve honorably and who are serving their communities well and loving people well. And so infuriated about some of those comments as well. And some of those comments that may have seemed like they were directed at me or Black people in general would be extremely incendiary in some categories and in some circles, but I did not take them as inflammatory at all because of the people who were saying them. And so sometimes the context of who's making the comments actually matters. But if you're going to take a social media fast, here's my comment to you. Now go and make some friends. If your social media thing wasn't working out there, if it's draining, if it's just been debilitating to you, then here and now is the time to go and make some friends, go out into your community, show yourself as a servant. I'm telling you, when I went downtown to go clean up after some of the riots, we met so many wonderful people. We prayed with police officers. I have pictures with police officers that I was hanging out with there. It was very light conversation. I do believe that somebody did the Trump card that day when we were out there, because to show their support for police officers, and hopefully you won't take this as a knock against police officers. One of the people that was out there just to show their love for police officers brought all the police that were standing out there some Krispy Kreme donuts.
I apologize for nothing. Yeah.
So there's the joke about police officers and the stereotypes and the cookies and cream and donut thing. But I did think that was a nice gesture to bring the police officers some Krispy Kreme donuts. I mean, who doesn't want Krispy Kreme donuts? But anyway, so just simply to say that, interacting with people out there in the community, people that I didn't know before, but I met them on the course of that day. And, some of them have actually come and had dinner with us since that time, because we were able to strike up some friendships and we were able to strike up some relationships and some conversations and some things that we had in common. And so when you get out there and you begin to serve and love your community and love your neighborhood and love Christ and share that with people and share the love of God through our actions and share the love of God through our words, then you begin to see those differences take place. So if you're going to take a fast from social media, now go and make some friends. Now I need to go and read some comments because I've been ignoring you guys. Oh boy, sorry. Message. Oh, let me catch up here. Yes, I do agree with this comment. Jasmine for president. I don't know, that'd be pretty 2040, 2050. Yeah, it may have to be like 2050 or something, whenever that is. I hadn't counted it up here. Jasmine should definitely be, president of the United States. Okay. Here's a comment for us. Hold fast. Tag. There it is. I love it. I love this technology that lets me do this here. So we're going to making friends today. You can't tell me this hasn't been an encouraging show. We're loving Christ. And I was telling the good people of North Carolina who had to endure my bad edge up last night these words, and I'll close with these. I told the good people of North Carolina, for those that are just so confused and they just don't get discouraged by all the stuff that you see around you. The red herrings that are out there, the look over here. It's the police brutality. Oh, wait, no, it's the rioting. Oh, wait, now it's the Confederate statues that are being torn down. I mean, you'll just constantly be looking from thing to thing to thing to thing. If you're a follower of Jesus Christ, here it is. Really simple. Boil it down. Love God. Love your neighbor. Because in Jesus' day, there were many topics that were the same. I mean, they didn't have the media as we have it today. But don't you know those Jews sat around and they talked about the Romans and their oppressors and what was going on in the world of Rome and what was going on in Jewish politics? And if you don't believe that, when you read back to the Old Testament and you begin to see how the elders at the gate, the elders of the city would assemble and they would begin to adjudicate over certain issues, you see evidence of this in the book of Job as that's played out. So the context and the background of the book of Job, these elders that assemble at the city gates and they're beginning to adjudicate over Job's situation. Man, Jews were always assembling and talking about the current events. I remember being overseas recently and just seeing a group of older men who were sitting there talking about the current events of the day. That's always been a part of what it is that we do. So there's always a news story that'll go whoosh, 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 and you're just constantly you're getting whiplash because you're going back and forth and there's all these opinions. And what do I think about that? And one of the things I think would help us tremendously is if we would stop trying to be moral exemplars. And like John Calvin says, where scripture has not given us clear command, I will cease from holy inquiry. Where God has kept his holy mouth shut, I will cease from inquiry. So if God didn't say it, then we have to recognize that our words are quite tenuous. But one of the things that we could often do is we always are looking for who is right and who is wrong, who's more right and who's wrong, so that I can be on the side of right. And that always tends towards self-righteousness when we do that. I'm right. I'm on the right side. You're wrong. And somebody did put up a Venn diagram where it is possible for you to love the police and understand that there's injustice that takes place in the world. It isn't important for you to, and it is possible for you to recognize historical heritage as well as understand the incendiary nature of what's going on in our society. And so that's not often put out there. But I'll just simply say, love God, love your neighbor. So that is what we need to hear. And that is where we need to be. Oh, so many great comments. I'm going to go. Like I said, the Erskin Music Show started out as a 15-minute show. For those of you that have been hanging with me the entire time, you guys know the show started out, it was 15 to 20 minutes long, and I didn't do very much on the show except goof the whole entire show up. Now I'm only goofing half of the show up because I have the technology at my fingertips. It'll make things a lot better for me. And so it's been fun to do the Erskin Music Show. Tomorrow, let me give some announcements before I get out of here. Announcements! The announcements are this. We have a very special guest that's coming. So I don't want you, John. There it is. Yes, I know. Let me get this comment off here. All right. How do I get this comment off here? I don't even know how to work my thing. Okay. There it is. Tomorrow, we have a very special guest that's coming on. All my guests are very special. If you made it on the Erskin Music Show, it's because you are very special. Isn't that right, Ruby and Scooby? Ruby, Scooby, Big Head. What? Special guest Kelly Wright is coming onto our show, former Fox News host. Kelly Wright Show was here, and the Kelly Wright Show is still in existence. He's over in Baltimore now. He's going to be joining the show tomorrow, and he's going to be sharing some insights about some of the things that he's been experiencing and some of the things that he's been able to share with. The last time I talked to Kelly Wright, I hamstrung him, and I said, Kelly, hey, I'm coming on your show. Honored to do such. But also, I wanted to... People telling me to scroll down. There's some people who were telling me that you were on the office of the president before I came on your show. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I had to push our show back a little bit and record your part because I was with the office of the president before I was on. And so I thought Kelly Wright is at maybe a different level of doing this than what I am doing. And so I said, Kelly, hey, I've come on your show. Would you come on the Erskin Music Show? And so he agreed to. He was happy to do so. And so he is coming tomorrow as my special guest, Kelly Wright, former Fox News host, analyst, and he's got a lot to say. So you will not want to miss tomorrow's show, how we met one another, why we know each other, and some of the things that God is doing. He is a believer. And so you're going to really enjoy tomorrow's show. So tune in. I may even show up early for class tomorrow. I showed up 1 minute early today, and that's an exciting thing. So anyway, that has been the Erskin Music Show. I'm going to go out with a little different flair today. You guys like that countdown? I think Rock and Ron and you guys out there in Kansas like that countdown. So let's go with a little countdown. It's been the Erskin Music Show. God bless you and keep you is our prayer. Love God. Love your neighbor.